What happens when a billionaire family mocks the daughter of a black CEO? What if I told you that in just seconds, their $750 million deal came crashing down? This isn't just a story of business, it's a story of pride, power, and one woman's fight to flip the script. Stick around, because in the next few minutes, you'll witness how arrogance turned into disaster and how one moment destroyed a $750 million empire. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. If you're part of the Black Visionaries family, hit that like button right now and subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories like this one. It was a night like no other. The ballroom glittered with golden lights, crystal chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, and the buzz of whispers echoing through the air. The Montgomery family had invited the who's who of the business world to witness an evening they would never forget, the finalization of a groundbreaking deal worth $750 million. The Montgomerys, a family known for their generational wealth, had worked tirelessly to reach the top. With private jets, vast estates, and a legacy built on power and influence, they were untouchable. But even they couldn't see what was coming. At the center of it all stood Zara Johnson, the daughter of the renowned black CEO, Isaiah Johnson. She was invited to the gala by her father, who was about to sign a pivotal merger with the Montgomery family. But Zara wasn't just any daughter. She was an integral part of her father's business empire. While the Montgomerys had their glitz and glamour, Zara had intelligence, strategy, and a fierce drive that made her stand apart from the glittering crowd. Zara wasn't someone who flaunted wealth. She was dressed in a sleek black dress that complemented her natural beauty. Her curly hair was tied back, a simple yet powerful statement of elegance. In a room filled with designer gowns and sharp tuxedos, she didn't need the sparkle. Her presence spoke volumes. But as Zara made her way through the room, she couldn't help but notice the side glances, the whispered conversations, and the stares from the Montgomerys. They had always treated her as an outsider, someone who didn't quite belong in their world. They saw her as a mere accessory to her father's empire, not realizing she was more than just the black CEO's daughter. Zara had inherited not only her father's brilliance, but also his ability to see the bigger picture. And that's exactly why tonight would change everything. The first confrontation came from Theodore Montgomery, the youngest son of the family. Theodore was a charmer, but not the kind that made an impression with his intellect. He leaned in, his voice full of mockery, as he approached Zara. "Hey, Zara, looking a bit different tonight, huh?" He grinned, his words casual, but there was a clear edge to them. Zara gave him a polite but firm smile. "Thank you, Theodore. I'm here to enjoy the evening, not to get compliments." Theodore laughed, clearly uncomfortable with her composed demeanor. "You know, you'd do well with a little makeover. Maybe you should think about dressing more like us." Zara held her ground, her eyes narrowing slightly. "I'm happy as I am, Theodore." But Theodore wasn't done. He turned to some of his family members, including his sister, Victoria, and their mother, Lydia. As they whispered behind Zara's back, Zara could hear their words, thinly veiled, as they tried to disguise their disdain. "You think she's really capable of handling what's coming?" Lydia Montgomery, the matriarch of the family, asked in a low voice, though loud enough for Zara to catch every word. "She's just not like us." Zara's heart beat faster, but she didn't flinch. She'd heard it all before. The subtle racism, the jabs at her father's legacy, the belief that her success had come easy because of who her father was. But they didn't know her. They didn't know what she had been through, what her father had sacrificed, and what she had built from scratch, proving her worth in ways they could never understand. Despite their attempts to undermine her, Zara stayed poised. She didn't need to prove anything to them. The Montgomerys were already playing into her hands. The moment came when Lydia and Victoria huddled together, whispering furiously. They were about to lose the very thing they had worked so hard for, the $750 million deal. Their arrogance and underestimation of Zara's capabilities had led them to a critical mistake. The contract they were about to sign with Johnson Enterprises was about to be pulled, and they didn't even realize it yet. As Zara stood across the room from them, her phone buzzed. It was a message from her father's legal team telling her that the deal had been called off. The Montgomerys had made a fatal mistake, one they hadn't seen coming. They had disrespected her and her family for too long, and now the deal that they thought was theirs was slipping through their fingers. Suddenly, Zara felt a shift in the room. It wasn't just the Montgomery family that was now on edge. The entire atmosphere seemed to change. The whispers around the room grew louder, and Zara could see the panic in the Montgomerys' eyes as they realized what had just happened. Their $750 million deal was officially off the table. Theodore Montgomery had been the first to realize the situation was crumbling. He tried to play it off as a misunderstanding, but his efforts were futile. Zara's father, Isaiah, had made his decision. He wasn't going to deal with people who saw his daughter as a target of mockery. The Montgomerys scrambled, trying to salvage the deal, but it was too late. Zara stood there, calm and collected, watching as their empire crumbled around them. The once mighty family, so sure of their success, had just lost everything because of their own pride and prejudice. As the final moments of the evening unfolded, Zara couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. It wasn't about the money. It wasn't even about the deal. It was about showing the world that people like her, people from backgrounds like hers, could rise, not just to survive, but to thrive. And she wasn't going to let anyone stand in her way. By the end of the night, the Montgomery family was left with nothing but a shattered reputation. Their once promising deal had collapsed, and their public image was now in tatters. It was a reminder that no matter how much wealth and power you had, you couldn't buy respect, especially not if you mistreated the wrong people. For Zara, it was a victory. A silent one, perhaps, but one that resonated louder than any deal ever could. And as the Montgomerys scurried out of the ballroom in defeat, Zara remained composed, knowing that she had just changed the course of her family's future and the business world's view of her. The news of the Montgomery family's downfall spread like wildfire the following morning. Headlines everywhere talked about how the deal had fallen apart, but the real story wasn't about the money. It was about Zara Johnson's quiet strength, the way she'd stood tall in the face of adversity, and, in the end, had outsmarted the very people who thought they could control her fate. In the weeks that followed, Johnson Enterprises saw a surge in attention. Clients, partners, and investors all saw the value in the company, not because of the Johnson name, but because of the woman leading it. Zara was no longer just the CEO's daughter. She was the force behind the empire. And as for the Montgomery family, their name would forever be associated with the deal that never happened and the woman they'd underestimated. Before you go, make sure you subscribe right now and join the Black Visionaries family, because we're building a movement of stories that open eyes, touch hearts, and change lives. Until next, Tim.